Hey there, so next up I have a group for you. This is a social fluency social skills group. Now, I love a social fluency group, and why I'm calling it social fluency instead of just social skills is because they're entirely different. So I designed this group more for those older students, so think upper elementary or middle school students. And you do a deeper dive more than you would in a traditional social skills group. So you're not asking students things like how to introduce yourself or how to ask someone to play. It's more things like cell phone etiquette and having meaningful conversations. These are some pictures of what it looks like in action. And like all my groups, it starts with weekly outlines. So each week you'll get an outline that's aligned to the ASCA mindsets and behaviors, as long as a weekly objective, and then a little outline to follow. And I have an organized table of contents so you can easily find what you need within the resource. You're going to get your group rules, so you can use the rules I have listed here, or you can get the group to come up with some on their own, and a feelings check poster. And I love the data tracking tools. You know, guys know this. So I use self-assessments with all my small groups. So you'll get a pre-self-assessment and a post-self-assessment. They're exactly the same. Have the kids write their name and date on there. You don't want to forget those details. And then they'll answer the self-assessment questions. And then later you can use that data to compare how students improved. So this group is really cool because each week is a weekly introduction video. So they're going to get a weekly introduction video introducing the concept, so you can kind of watch the video to start as an icebreaker, discuss, and then dive in. So week one is what is social fluency, and there's two things. So first up is this fun definition. So it's like a word scramble. So they're going to have to try to define social fluency by forming a sentence. So they're definitely going to work together as a group on this one because it's kind of a long sentence. That's always fun. And then there is a dice game that's just kind of doing like a, what you know already. So we're trying to think or to learn about them, what they already know about social skills, what do they want to learn about social skills. It's like a know, want to know, learn, like a KWL dice. And then managing strong emotions is week two. So in week two, we're going to dive right into some mindfulness stuff. So we're going to talk about what mindfulness is, then do a belly breathing guided meditation together as a group, and then follow it up with some debriefing questions about how the meditation made them feel. After that, they're going to make a piece to an interactive notebook here, or they can just do it, in a folder or anything. Use some fun paper. This is a cool one. It's like accordion style, and it's starting with the emotion that they're having. And then they go and they look at all the deep underlying reasons that they might be having that emotion. So, for example, if their emotion is angry, maybe one of the reasons is their friend lied to them, or maybe another reason is they were running late to school. So, have them reflect on the last time they felt a strong emotion and then to dig deep on why, because it's likely more than one reason, right? So this is kind of like the iceberg scenario. You can even use that as an example, like think of an iceberg and everything that's underneath, or think of like little coals piling up to spark something. It takes a lot of little things, and then you get one big thing, kind of like a snowball effect too. So those are a few analogies you could reference while you're teaching this. Week three, I love this one. This is all about resolving conflicts. So it starts with an I statements comic book. So we talk about I statements and you statements. So I love to differentiate between the two. And you statement is when you're saying, hey, you blew me off, you did this, you're a bad friend, you did this. And the other friend's like, whoa. But an I statement is where you're like, hey, I feel sad when you ignore me because it hurts my feelings. Next time, please talk to me if something's wrong. So it's a cool way to just introduce the difference between a you statement and an I statement, and they can color in the comic books. Now that they have a baseline understanding of what an I statement is, they go to do a role play. So these are different role play scenarios that involve resolving conflicts. So for example, if your teammate never passes you the ball, you could use an I statement like, I feel upset when you never pass me the ball because I'd like a chance to play. Next time, please consider passing it to me too. Or if your friend invites everyone but you to his party, or your sister borrows your clothes without asking. So these are social skills that a lot of times our kiddos get really upset and just react, and they don't know how to resolve the conflict. So that's why we're teaching them this I statements model. Week four is all about quality conversations. So this game's fun. It's called Carry On the Conversation. So you're going to have the kids, they're sitting in a circle, and they can talk about anything they want, but the point is they have to kind of stay on track. So you can vote together as a group okay, we're going to talk about food, like our favorite foods. And then you kind of take turns going in the circle talking about your favorite food. And if someone follows suit and does well, you pass the carry on the conversation. But if someone kind of gets distracted and talks about something crazy, then they get out. So it's a fun icebreaker game to start with. And then that is followed by a role play. So they're going to get in pairs and practice starting a conversation with different people. So some may be peers, some may be adults. So, for example, how is a conversation with your cousin you haven't seen in a while different than a conversation with your teacher, right? One's going to have a more respectful tone, one's going to have a more casual tone. So, these are those things that a lot of times we assume students just know. But again, they're in the social fluency group for a reason. These may be some social skills they're lacking. So, we want to be really explicit on how your tone changes with different people and how to form these quality conversations. Week 5 is all about cell phone etiquette. So I love this one. So in this one, they're going to draw different cards. So these are different charades they're going to do to act out different places. And these are places that you would definitely want to have your phone, on silent. So they can act out being at like a movie theater, act out being at a school, a place of worship, restaurants, planes, trains, buses, taxis. Anyways, it's pretty fun. And you can talk about like why it's rude to talk on the phone in front of other people and how they can handle cell phone etiquette. And then here they have like some fact cards here, like when you're in public places, keep your distance. Don't use speakerphone in public. Use a normal tone of voice while speaking on your phone. Again, things that may seem obvious to us, but that are really important to be explicit about. Week 6 is all about body language. So we're starting with a Simon Says icebreaker. So the example is like Simon says, pat your head. Simon says, show active listening, jump up and down. Obviously, that's when they would mess up. Simon says, make eye contact. Simon says, stand on one foot. Or put one foot down. Simon says, put one foot down. You get it. But there's some body language words that you want to use. So it's kind of like the normal game, but you're calling out body language words. So like raise your eyebrows, smiling, crossed legs, active listening, things like that. Then they're going to do a body language drawing. So that's where you're going to put them in pairs, and one student's going to lay on the ground and they're going to trace their body on big butcher paper and then write examples of body language on there. So, for example, on their face area, they can write like, I can show eye contact by focusing on the speaker, or I can show active listening by nodding my head. And week 7 is about perspective taking. So this one has a few activities, or a couple, I guess, but this is a 2-part. There's discussion cards and a dice. So instead of just grabbing the discussion cards at random, you're going to have like a student pick up a discussion card and read it and then roll a die, and then they have to answer the corresponding question on the die. So for example, Brody forgot to save his paper on his computer and lost all his work. And then you would roll the die and it would say, has something similar ever happened to you? And they could share a time that it has or has not. Or Quentin heard about other boys talking about him in the gym, and then maybe they roll, how do you think he feels? And then they talk about that. So it's a really cool way for them to show empathy and perspective taking. The second part of this activity is about role play, and this one's specifically about arguing respectfully. So we tell them that it's okay to argue, it's okay to not agree with everyone, but how can you respectfully disagree or argue respectfully? So this one's fun. Like you disagree about which sports team is better. So people can get really heated, and maybe these students who were referred to your group, get like out of control in certain situations when they're in a disagreement with someone. So you want to teach them how to perspective take and argue respectfully so they can, act it out together in pairs. A really fun activity. Finally, week 8 is a review and closure week. So you start with that beach ball toss or Jenga questions. So cut out these cards. You can either tape them on a beach ball or you can put them on Jenga blocks. So whichever you prefer. And then the kids are either going to play Jenga, and then as they draw one out, they'll read it, or as they toss the ball, they'll catch it, and then where their thumbs land, they can choose the question they want to answer. So a lot of these are review about what you've learned in the group already. So, talk about a time you've managed your strong emotions. Have you started practicing perspective taking yet? Which session was your favorite? Things like that. And then they'll make a flip book that's kind of, their takeaways from each session. So each session is listed here, and they'll write their takeaways. And this one has weekly journal prompts. So, for example, week 7 here says, why do you think it's important to understand other perspectives? Have you ever argued respectfully? So give the kids some time at the end of the group to answer these. There's one for each week. And this group also includes a bonus session on cultural sensitivity. So if you want to do a bonus 8th session or kind of trickle it into the existing sessions, there's some information on that as well.